Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is the show where we take source material, pull out the crucial insights, and basically give you a shortcut to being, well, truly well-informed. Today we're doing a deep dive into something I think we can all relate to. Personal motivation and that really pervasive feeling of being stuck. We'll be drawing a lot from Stop Saying You're Fine, Discover a More Powerful You.
Exactly. And our mission today is really to uncover why we often resist change, even when we really crave it, and hopefully equip you with some, powerful tools to kind of outsmart your own brain. We want to help you understand how to switch on that powerful you and actually start taking the actions you need to get what you genuinely want in life.
Okay, so let's unpack this feeling then, this being stuck. We've all had those days, right, where everything just clicks, you feel confident, alive, you're in the zone. But then there are those other days where hitting the snooze button feels like, honestly, the only real option. Our source material calls this hitting the snooze button on your life. That's quite a metaphor, isn't it? Delaying the real work.
It is. And what's really remarkable is how universal this feeling is. It rarely shows up as some big sudden crisis. It's more like a slow corrosion happening inside. It often starts really subtly, just a vague sense something's not quite right. Maybe you're missing fulfillment or happiness, purpose, empowerment, something. We see it in the examples in the source, like Allison. She dreams of being an actress, but somehow she just never gets around to taking an acting class. Well, Brian, trapped in that mortgage job he hates, he ends up fantasizing about having an affair instead of, say, figuring out a different career path.
And it's just so easy to blame other things, isn't it? External stuff. Oh, I don't have the time, or I don't have the money, or just life's too complicated these days.
Right.
But the sources we looked at, they consistently point deeper. Often it's internal.
That's such a crucial distinction, yeah. So the question becomes, what's actually going on in our minds when we hit these internal walls? The source describes these two really vivid negative mindsets that keep us paralyzed. It calls them the chicken and the jerk.
Chicken and jerk. Okay.
Yeah. The chicken is all about fear, nerves, anxiety. It's constantly whispering, I can't do that, or what if I fail? And then the jerk, well, that one's fueled by anger, frustration, blame. It's shouting, I don't want to, or it's his fault.
Yeah.
And both are incredibly effective at keeping us stuck right where we are.
Which brings us to something really fascinating. Our own brains might be, actively working against us here. Our source gets into how the brain essentially hits the brake on our desires.
Yes. And if we connect that to some wider science, think about the central governor theory. It's come out of research on physical exhaustion. Basically, this theory suggests a part of our brain, the anterior cingulate cortex, involved in decisions and emotions, can actually artificially create feelings of fatigue.
Artificially, like fake fatigue.
Sort of. It's like a mental trick the brain uses to scare you into stopping, to keep you from pushing yourself too hard. Think about Ellen in the book. In her very first yoga class, her brain was just screaming at her to leave, get out, even though her body probably could have handled more.
Wow. And Ellen's story, it highlights something kind of frustrating, doesn't it? That resistance, it doesn't really go away. Even after years of yoga, her mind still gives her 1,000 reasons to skip it, but she's learned somehow to push past it.
Exactly. And another piece of this puzzle, how our brains work against us, involves things like negativity bias and focalism. Our brains are, they're kind of wired like an emergency room. They give the absolute worst case scenarios the most attention right away.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
So when we imagine making a change, we often just line up all the potential bad things into what the source calls a giant wall of pain, like Allison, picturing only rejection if she tries acting. Or Colleen instantly deciding she'll be a spinster if she changes her life significantly. This bias framing just stacks the deck against taking any action.
And it's not just fear of new things either. There's also the status quo bias. We tend to really overvalue what we already have, even if it's making us miserable. We go to, frankly, ridiculous lengths sometimes to keep things the same. Like the example of the person struggling to lose weight, but they're just unwilling to give up the, quote, freedom to eat whatever they want, even though that freedom is the very thing holding them back.
It's a paradox, isn't it?
Totally. So, okay, our brains are fighting us. We're clinging to what's familiar. What's the actual cost of doing nothing? Our sources suggest that having too many choices can actually, overwhelm us. We end up choosing not to decide. It reminds me of that famous jam experiment.
Oh, the jam study.
Yeah.
Where fewer options led to more sales?
Exactly. Fewer choices, more action.
It's fascinating. And if you expand that idea, think about routine. Routine, it brings comfort, sure, stability, But it also kind of automates our brains. It can rob our days of variety, spontaneity, that creative spark. Get the Kathy story in The Source is a perfect example. She got so comfortable with being unhappy, she basically forgot life could offer anything more, anything vibrant.
Wow, I forgot.
Yeah, and even really ingrained habits like Harold smoking, which he did for decades.
Hmm.
Despite knowing it's harmful, it becomes such a core part of the daily routine, it's incredibly hard to break free.
Okay, but there is good news here, right? The sources do emphasize this. You don't need some huge overnight transformation. Momentum isn't this big blanket decision to change absolutely everything at once.
No, definitely not. It's more of a cumulative force. It builds slowly from these tiny, almost unnoticeable flickers of engagement.
Tiny flitters?
Yeah, which leads to a really important question. If these small actions are so powerful, why do we ignore them so often? We
Yeah.
just dismiss that little urge to, I don't know, pick up a bass guitar or walk into a yoga studio or even just Google auditions. We think, that doesn't matter.
Hmm.
But the source is really emphatic here. It says, they are everything. Bold statement. And it makes another powerful point through Gerald's story. This is a man who overcame a 39-year heroin addiction. The message is blunt. If he can do it, you certainly can. The core insight, really, is that staying stuck often takes more work, more mental energy than actually going after what you want.
That's counterintuitive, but it makes sense when you put it that way.
Yeah.
Staying stuck is exhausting. So if we know our inner chicken or jerk is going to pipe up, what do we actually do? The secret, the source argues, isn't really about willpower. It's more about outsmarting your own brain. And the core rule is, well, it sounds almost too simple. Just do the things that you don't want to do.
Right, just push through that initial resistance. And a really practical tool here is the 5-second rule. The idea is super simple. Move from having an idea to starting the action within 5 seconds.
5 seconds, that's fast.
It is, because the longer you wait, the more chance your thoughts and feelings, those chickens and jerks, have to step in and just kill the impulse. Your first gut instincts, apparently, are often more correct, more aligned with what you really desire.
Okay, this idea of outsmarting our brain, using metacognition, thinking about our thinking, it reminds me of that classic marshmallow test.
Ah, yes, the kids and the marshmallows.
Yeah. The kids who managed to wait for the second marshmallow, they weren't necessarily smarter in the traditional sense. They just mastered distraction. They tricked their own brains, right? Like pretending the marshmallow is just a picture or something. It's about managing your internal state.
Exactly, manipulating your internal landscape. And this brings up another key point.
Hmm.
How honest are we actually being with ourselves? The source tells Nancy's story, that painful moment she saw her reflection and finally truly admitted she was 50, maybe 60 pounds overweight.
That sounds tough.
It does. And it contrasts sharply with Kathleen, who just kept pretending, saying, I'm fine, even though she wasn't. Facing that truth, however scary it feels, is presented again and again as the absolute critical first step. And practically speaking, just writing down your feelings, doing a brain dump, is actually proven to help clarify things and improve decision-making.
Okay, so honesty first. Then the source moves to step 2. Admit what you want. Which sounds obvious, maybe, but apparently our brains are sneaky. They shrink our desires, they take a new and wonderful career and kind of quietly turn it into just, a moderate raise.
Exactly. It's self-protection, in a
Yeah.
way. So to make sure your desire is motivating enough, the source says it needs to pass 3 little tests. First, is it embarrassing? Because a really big, inspiring goal, a big gap between now and then, will feel a bit embarrassing to admit sometimes.
Okay, makes sense.
Second, is it selfish? Joseph, in the book, wanting to lose weight for sex, not just cholesterol that's highlighted as a powerful motivator because it's deeply personal, maybe a bit selfish.
Right, tap into the real why.
Exactly. And third, is it 100% specific? Vague goals don't work well. And even if you're totally stuck and genuinely have no idea what you want, the advice is just pick something, anything, just to break the cycle of boredom and inaction, because action, not more thinking, is what breaks you out. It's like your own story about the bakery job. It wasn't the dream, but it gave you data. It got you moving.
Yeah, that's true. It was information.
And there's also the process simulation technique. This is where you vividly imagine yourself actually doing the steps needed to reach the goal, not just picturing the end result. That apparently makes the action feel much more achievable. The source uses overcoming fear of flying as an example.
Visualizing the process, not just the win. Okay, so you admit the truth, you admit what you want, then comes step 3. Go public with what you want. Our source says something pretty direct here. You can't jumpstart any idea without the help of other people. It uses that analogy of a dead car battery, you need another car, right? You can have jumper cables, but you can't jumpstart yourself.
It's a brilliant analogy. And scientifically, there's something interesting here with mirror neurons.
Mm.
These are brain cells that fire not just when we do something, but also when we simply watch someone else do it.
Ah, like empathy neurons.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
They create an internal simulation of the other person's actions and feelings.
Mm.
And that's precisely why surrounding yourself with positive, motivated people is so incredibly effective. Their momentum literally becomes contagious because your brain is wired to mirror it.
That makes so much sense. So find your other car. And the source has a fun little exercise for this. The eye contact game.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Just try making eye contact with 5 strangers today. Hold their gaze for about 4 seconds and give a genuine smile. It's supposed to create this little burst of energy and connection. A small step in engaging with the world.
I like that. Simple, but maybe a little challenging for some.
Yeah.
And thinking bigger picture, consider the Harvard Men's Study. Massive longitudinal study. They tracked hundreds of men for decades. And the biggest predictor of late life adjustment, better than anything else,
What was it?
the quality of their relationships at age 47. One of the directors basically concluded the only thing that really matters in life are your relationships to other people. Powerful stuff.
Wow. Relationships above all else. And going public can feel really vulnerable, like Mary in the book, admitting her dieting struggles at a business lunch.
Yeah, that took guts.
But it did 2 things. It got her the support she needed, and it turned out loads of other people at the table were secretly dieting too. It broke the isolation.
It really does. And if you think about network science, how behaviors like obesity or even divorce can spread through social networks well, the flip side is true too, right? Strategically connecting with people who are already doing what you want to do or who have that positive energy, that can be a massive accelerator for your own journey.
Okay, so connect with others. Then we get to step 4. Zoom out and create a map. The sources remind us here that actually we're incredibly lucky. We live in a time with tools and access to information our grandparents couldn't even imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a great concept the source introduces here is drafting, like in cycling, right? Where you ride behind someone else.
Yeah, slipstreaming.
Exactly. You exert something like 30% less effort because they're breaking the wind, blazing the trail. So the advice is find 2 people who've already done what you want to do. Learn from their path, their map. You don't have to reinvent the wheel entirely.
Right, learn from others' journeys. And this map, it's not supposed to be super rigid, like turn-by-turn directions. It's more about perspective, seeing the landmarks, the milestones, seeing that there are actually lots of options. It's about breaking down those huge, maybe overwhelming goals into smaller, achievable steps. Like the author realizing her goal of a 2-hour daily workout was just impossible, and breaking it down to a manageable 30 minutes. That became doable.
That's key. And as you start making progress using this map, the source warns about something common, feeling like a fraud.
Ah, imposter syndrome.
Pretty much. But here's the important reframe. Feeling like a fraud isn't necessarily a sign you're failing. Often it's a sign you're succeeding. You're growing. Your internal self-perception just hasn't caught up yet with your external accomplishments. And that's where reconnecting with those positive, successful friends you identified earlier really helps. They can ground you.
That's a really helpful way to think about it. It's a growing pain, not a stop sign. The deep dive also threw in some clever psychological tricks, like focusing on how good you'll feel after you do the hard thing.
Oh yeah, like the hot shower after the cold run.
Exactly. Rather than dwelling on the dread of starting it, you focus on the reward.
Smart. It shifts the focus entirely.
Yeah.
And finally, the source lays out a very practical 7-day stamina challenge. It's designed specifically to build that initial momentum. A big piece of it is the non-negotiable power of daily exercise, even just 20 minutes at your target heart rate. It calls it Miracle Grow for the brain.
Miracle Grow for the brain. I like that.
Yeah, clears your head, boosts confidence, actually primes your brain to learn better. Other parts of the challenge include things like journaling your big, embarrassing idea daily, consciously breaking your routine in small ways, doing that eye contact exercise with strangers, and going public by asking 2 people for advice related to your goal. The underlying message is that moving forward, like doing the laundry or the dishes, isn't a one-time thing. It's a continuous, everyday effort.
Right. Consistency over intensity sometimes. So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, it feels like getting unstuck really boils down to 2 core things, 2 struggles maybe: ownership and challenge.
I think that's a great summary.
Yeah.
Which leads to a pretty direct question for you, the listener.
Hmm.
Are you truly owning your life? Are you taking full responsibility for where it's heading? Or have you maybe slipped into a kind of learned helplessness, telling yourself it's just too hard, not worth the effort? And are you willing to actually push yourself, to put yourself in situations that will genuinely test you and show you what you're made of?
What does it really mean for you to step into the person you were truly meant to be?
You know, every single moment, every little impulse you feel that urge to try something new, to speak up, to take a small step, it's a point of leverage. You can keep ignoring them, letting them fade away, or you can choose to seize them, use them to build real, unstoppable momentum. The choice ultimately between being a victim of your circumstances or being an adventurer on a quest to fulfill your dreams, well, that choice is yours.
So if anything we talked about today resonated, just imagine the power of consistently showing up for yourself, embracing those challenges that actually lead to growth. What's one small step, maybe it's slightly embarrassing, maybe a little selfish, that you're willing to take today to get just a little bit closer to what you truly want?
Until next time, keep digging deep.